Hello, Hannah.
Hello!
Hello. Yeah, because it's first thing in the morning. We need a cock-a-doodle-doo, don't we?
I know, people know me. This is like how I say hello. And I have this thing where I say hello to random things. Like,
Random things, so not people.
yeah. So the other day, I went for a walk, and there was a squirrel, and I was like, oh, look, a squirrel. And I went, hello. Just the way I roll. Okay?
I like it. No, I like it. It's quirky. It's good. Yeah. So why don't you kick us off, Hannah? Ask me some questions.
So, well, I mean, right, excuse me for those who can see me. I'm in my hoodie. I've got a cup of tea with my H on it. So excuse me, and I'm going to start eating the cream egg in a minute. So obviously, I know you. You're my sister.
Yes. You know.
I suppose for people watching / listening,
Yeah.
I think it's kind of people want to know kind of what is Heart of Home, but I suppose we'll get into that later on. But
Yeah.
kind of how did it start? Like, what's your story? Obviously, like, we talk a lot about our children or your children are the inspiration. Like,
Yeah.
we're beginning. So the beginning of the story. How did Heart of Home begin? What was the impact that brought it, I suppose?
Okay, so I suppose to begin, I need to start at the very beginning because that is a good place to start. So I suppose the best way to start is to talk about my inspiration, which is my children.
Yeah.
Where to begin? Okay, so if I talk about my firstborn, Elena, she when she was born, obviously it was my first child. I didn't really know much, to be honest. You know, it is what it is. You learn on the job, as it were.
For most first-time mums and dads as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So when she was around 2, people would say, oh, watch out for the terrible 2s. That was the key one we kept getting. And we didn't really notice much of a difficulty in behaviour at that age, but we got the terrible 4s instead. And that's when she started to have a lot of meltdowns. She would kick, bite, drop her weight. And the key one was trying to run off. And the story I'm going to share, which is the one that led to us seeking a diagnosis. And you're part of this story, Beck, which is quite interesting. Was
I'm always part of it.
You are. I was working at the time, and I remember yourself. You were up, and you were taking Elena to our mum's, and Elena was very, very attached to a particular teddy, called her Donkey, and people used to say, yeah, and people used to say to her, oh, is it Eeyore? And she'd go, no, it's Donkey, because it is a donkey. Therefore, its name is Donkey, not Eeyore. She didn't get why people kept asking if it was Eeyore. But on this particular occasion, she took this thing everywhere. You guys forgot. You forgot to bring it when you went to Nana's. And she got so upset. She had a massive meltdown to the point where she tried to run out of the house. And I remember Mum describing to me and telling me that she put a chain on the door, obviously to keep Elena safe, and Elena tried to open the door still with the chain and push her body through the gap. So I think it was that was the moment that prompted us to go and say, we need to get this sorted. There's something not right. She had struggles in school. And it was evident in school plays that she was very different from the neurotypical cohort, as it were. She would cling on to her TA's hand and kiss her hand during the play and just get all cutchy and sentimental, but she just had no comprehension of what was going on. So lots of different things, but it took 2 years to get a diagnosis.
I'm sorry, I thought you were going to say it took 2 years to get the donkey back.
Well, yeah, that would be a story, wouldn't it? It would absolutely be a story if it took 2 years to get the donkey back. But no, Donkey is still with us to this day. She doesn't take Donkey around with her as much as she used to, but Donkey has a place in her heart always. She will never part with Donkey. But no, it took 2 years to get an autism diagnosis. with a lot of fighting, a lot of pushing, a lot of phone calls, a lot of interactions. I mean, I saw a paediatrician from CAMS who could evidently see that Elena was on the spectrum, but she was not qualified to make an official diagnosis. So although we were on the CAMS waiting list for a good while, because of CAMS is inundated with referrals, they referred us to a private diagnostic company called Axia. And we went out to Axia, and after 2 hours of questions and observations, Elena was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. I was concerned because she's very articulate, she's great at masking. So in the first 5 minutes, I thought, oh my gosh, she's just so talkative. I thought, they're not going to pick up on this. But they knew within 5 minutes. So that made a massive difference. For those of you that can see me, you can see that I do not have a door. You can see the doorway, but I don't have a door. And the reason for that is I am in my office, which is nicely decorated. So if you hear background noise, aka my husband or the kids, then that is why. I do not have any privacy. I do not have a door. So she was diagnosed, and with that comes a cohort of professionals and medical needs. I mean, you know, obviously standard for anyone's kids, you've got the dentist and the GP to think about. But when you've got a child with a disability, you've got speech and language, occupational therapy, dietitian, the list goes on, essentially. So that's Elena. And then with Lucas, when he was first born, he seemed to be developing quite well. He was hitting his milestones, so we didn't really have any concerns for Lucas. And then when he hit 2.5, he went from babbling and starting to form words to regressing in his speech. So now he just says things like da. He very rarely says mum, unless food's involved. If food's involved, I get a shout out, which is really, really cool. But aside from that, I don't get a mention. But he'll say da, and that's pretty much it. And he's 4.5 now, heading to 5, and his speech has not developed much more than that, really. So when his speech started to regress and he wouldn't make eye contact with us or with kids, and he wouldn't play with his toys, he would just open cupboards and try to put things in his mouth that were not edible, we were like, okay, I'm taking the blinders off, because one key thing I wanted to keep in mind with Lucas when he was born was, do not wear autism colour glasses. Like, don't go down that road. Be 100% sure that it's a possibility before you explore it, because I didn't want to give him a label if he wasn't that way inclined. And it got to a point where I couldn't deny it anymore, and I did need to explore avenues. So he's on the waiting list, and it's been almost 2 years now. What a shock. But you know, with him, it was earlier to find. You know, with Elena, the signs weren't really there until later. But for him, from you know, you're talking from 2 onwards, you know, that's quite early to pick up on it. And of course, with boys, it's more evident. So here's hoping we get an appointment and an assessment soon. But we are pretty sure he's got ADHD as well, because he does not stop ever. So that's the kids. And with Lucas and his challenges, that's a whole other different cohort of professionals. And the reason I'm mentioning the professionals is I'm coming on to how Heart of Home began. So, dun 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 dun.
So, we need a theme too?
What?
Sorry.
What?
Random.
What did you say?
I said, I feel like we need a theme tune.
We do need a theme tune. I was thinking about this earlier. We can't be like, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, because obviously that's taken. But something catchy and fun, because, you know, we are fun and we are catchy. I don't know. It's the evening, and when I get tired like this, I get a bit loopy. Woo woo. Okay, yeah. So dun dun dun, revealing how it all began. So yeah. So professionals. So aside from all the meetings and all the strategies and all the tasks and the documentation, I mean, you get sent like a massive pack of minutes of what each professional has said, of what's been discussed,